Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Hupp, Artistic Director at Syracuse Stage. Welcome to Prologue, our occasional series where we have the opportunity to gain insight on the shows that we're creating at Syracuse Stage. Thank you for joining us. I'm joined today by Cole Taylor, who plays Anthony, and by Phoebe Holden, who plays Caroline, in our current production of Lauren Gunderson's I and You, a heartwarming, funny, and incredibly timely play. Cole and Phoebe, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your insight into the characters that you've created. We've been creating a virtual season for a year now, and I and You represents our return to the stage, our return to the theater. The last few shows we've created remotely, but now we're back. We're in the Storch Theater now, the smaller theater in our building. And I got to tell you, it was thrilling to be in the room watching the two of you create work, to work with our director, Melissa Crespo, to work with our wonderful designers and all the staff at Syracuse Stage who worked safely and behind the scenes to help us bring this play to life. So for both Phoebe and for Cole, this is your first time working at Syracuse Stage. Tell us a little bit about your background and a little bit about what brought you to this place in your careers. Phoebe, let's start with you.
Well, hi. I'm Phoebe. I'm from Taiwan. That's where I'm from. Born there, my family's from there. But I went to college in New York. I went to NYU, and I've been in New York ever since, writing, acting, producing. And I graduated pretty recently, so I guess I don't have a lot to say outside of I can remember high school maybe a little bit better than Cole can, but it's just like what, a couple of years. Yeah, it's just since I've been in New York, I've just been doing this thing.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Cole?
Yeah, so let's see. I moved around a lot as a kid. I was born in Bloomington, Indiana. Moved around a little bit since then, but I'm from Michigan. It's where I went to high school. Ended up going to Pace University for college and graduated, I think, oh man, 3 years ago. And yeah, I remember high school being, I was a jock in high school, so a lot of my memories are, have to do with basketball and football practice and that whole aspect of it. But yeah, was, and then I started acting senior year of high school and got into it in college, freshman year at Pace, and trying to keep the ball rolling ever since.
So, I and You is a play about two high school students. The play takes place in Phoebe's bedroom. I don't think it's giving too much away to say that she has an illness that keeps her in her room, and that Cole's character, Anthony, comes to visit her with a project, with an assignment. And it's a surprise to Phoebe's character. And the play unfolds from there. A very sort of innocuous beginning leads to much deeper metaphysical experiences as the play evolves. I don't want to give that part away because it's just thrilling to watch it unfold. But these are two high school students, and you are both older than high school. Phoebe, you mentioned that you were maybe a little closer to that age than Cole is, but nonetheless, you're both out of high school. And high school is a very different, perhaps more sheltered experience than the world that we occupy today. So what's it like to have to go back and create characters younger than yourselves? Cole, I'll start with you.
Oh man. It's interesting. I think when you are the age you are, or I guess I can't speak for everyone, just for me, I never think of myself as like, oh, like this is how old I am now. And it's hard for me to like compare it to anything else. And so when I remember being in high school, I thought like, yeah, this is the oldest I've ever been. Like, this is just my life right now. So to go back and kind of play someone that is relatively younger than I am, it is interesting. I think things matter a lot more. Everything seems like it's the first and last time it's ever going to happen. And it's fun, I think, as an actor to play that when the stakes are so high, and you're trying to figure out how to express yourself. I think that's a lot of what I remember, at least trying to figure out when I was in high school. And I think that rings true in the play as well.
Mm-hmm. Phoebe, what do you think?
I feel like I think Cole and I had a very different high school experience. But I think no matter who you were in high school or what kind of people you hung out with, there is that sense of urgency all the time because you think you're so grown, you're like, I'm an adult now, especially like in your senior year of high school. You're like, I'm about to like do everything. I'm about to like start my new life. My parents are like just holding me back, and no one understands. But there's something so it's that in between being naive and being actually hopeful. And Caroline is someone who fights that hopefulness so much. I think she's had to grow up a lot faster than a lot of people her age, just given her condition. But so it's so interesting to see the kid in Caroline come out when it does. And the entire time she's like, oh, like, I'm so over it. Like my life sucks so much, and she's so cynical and dark all the time. But being able to be a kid in certain moments is just as fun for me as it is for Caroline. I think part of why so many things are set in high school and why it's so much fun to watch high school age characters is because everyone can remember a time when everything was so important and so fresh and like everything hit so hard. And there's a kind of presence to that you kind of miss a lot as you grow older. It was nice to revisit.
And it's true that even though you're playing high school characters, this is a play for adults of all ages. This is a play about very grown-up challenges, issues, and events. What was and Phoebe? I'll start with you. What was the most challenging aspect of the process in creating the character and helping to bring this play to life? What did you find the most challenging aspect of the process?
Well, Caroline's a huge downer, and no one likes to watch a downer on stage. If you're sad for 90 minutes, everyone's going to be so bored. So it was, we had to be really careful, I think, to not make her seem like whiny or too just too pessimistic. Had to make her as magnetic as she is to Anthony, so y'all actually like get where he's coming from. Otherwise you're going to be like, why is he so into her? That makes no sense. She's like so annoying. So there's that challenge of just as always of playing a character who is really unhappy, besides the fact that you also have to be really unhappy that whole time. But I think that is not so difficult. Actors like love to be upset on stage. It's like so much fun. Or like, yes, the pain. But outside of that, I was telling someone else that Caroline has so many mood swings on stage. She goes through like 100 different intense emotions. Like we said, everything is intense in high school, and she goes through a lot of them in not a very long time. Kind of taking Anthony with her, she kind of like steamrolls a lot. Caroline's the kind of person where like if you're like upset, the whole room feels it, and like when you're happy, the entire room feels it. So like sometimes committing to that and making sure we hit all those specific moments where they do happen, and making sure they happen at the right time, in a place that makes sense, in a place that feels genuine. We spend a lot of time working on that. But you know, the most challenging aspects of the play are usually the most exciting. So
Yeah,
I was happy about that.
Well, and I totally get your point about how because the character could be perceived as a downer because of her life circumstance. I want to compliment you on how fighting against that makes your character so compelling. And I definitely saw that in the work that I was able to watch both live and now as I've been watching the edits that
Yeah,
come
you
through
get some
in the
of like you get the special actually live theater experience.
And Cole, I want to get to you, the question to you as well, but I do want to tell our viewers that, I have the rare privilege of having watched it live in the Storch Theater and watching it on film. And there are things that I saw and learned in the film that I didn't pick up on in the Storch, mainly because, again, the camera, it can get closer to you. I can see more of your reaction. And the more I can see the more subtle things that you both are doing on film. So I miss the live theater as much as anybody, and I'm dying for us to get back to it. But I also enjoy the advantages of what I saw of your all's work in the screen as well. So that's coming across very nicely. So
We should just do both all the time.
well, and you know what? I mean, we're talking about that too. We're having that conversation because one of the things that doing it on film or doing it as a filmed piece of theater does for us is it gives folks the opportunity to see it who could never have watched it.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah,
Right? I mean,
absolutely.
we have friends, family, people. We have people see our work and respond to our work in other states, other countries. So I think there's something to be learned about doing it both ways. But Cole, I want to come back to you with a question. What was most challenging for you?
Oh man. I think the most challenging for me was Melissa and I talked about this throughout rehearsals, I think, was finding because I mean obviously Anthony wants to be there for Caroline as much as possible. But I remember there was a day in rehearsal where she said, you also have to find the times where you are frustrated as well, and how there is that push and pull, and also the moments when you allow yourself to be helped by Caroline, and it's not just you being there for her, but also trusting that she is there for you, which I think was definitely something that we were playing with throughout the whole rehearsal run.
I muted myself because I think I've got a piano going on in the background. I muted myself, but so you guys were in Syracuse for what, 3 weeks?
4.
Yeah.
4.
4 if we include the virtual week.
Right. I'm going to guess that probably your first times in Syracuse.
Yes.
First time in this city. And we were able to give you some snow while you were here too.
Yeah.
All day of snow, right?
It was so unexpected.
Right. Not for us. But we created a bubble. The reason, because Cole, you were on the West Coast initially, and Phoebe, you came up from the city. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we brought you to Syracuse for the first week of rehearsal was only on Zoom while you were kind of stuck in your hotel rooms, and then we moved into the theater. But how you like? I didn't meet the two of you face to face until you were already. I think it was at the designer run, 3/4 of the way through the process. You really have worked in many ways in isolation because we've had to preserve the bubble to keep you healthy and to keep everybody healthy. We do multiple testings every week, and we try to keep people away from each other. Did this process, was it different? Did it affect the way the work proceeded? Did it seem like you were really working in a very different environment? Were you creating theater in a way that felt unusual? Cole, I'll start with you.
Well, first off, I mean, I'll just say I think Syracuse Stage did such an incredible job of letting us know kind of what the whole rundown was with the COVID protocol and how we were going to work. So there was never a day where I was like, oh, okay, what are we doing or what's the plan? Like I feel like we all knew from day one, which takes the edge off of this whole, situation that we're in and really allowed Phoebe and I to just focus on the work, which was really incredible. From a theater standpoint, I'll say that, I mean, definitely, I think Phoebe and I, just because it was such a heightened environment, it was just me and her, like right off the bat, we were able to kind of just, I mean, it was just us. So we were kind of just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticked, and then also getting to know her outside of rehearsals and everything, like, was really great. But in terms of what it felt like when we were all in the room, it really didn't feel that different. I mean, the SMs and everybody are there. They have masks on, but they're like, it's not like they're super, super far away. Like, we're talking, we're still able to collaborate. So I think I'm really glad that the collaborative process of this, that never changed, which made the the whole action of this show a lot of fun to work on.
There, now I keep muting myself. And but Phoebe, what did you think about that? Did the isolation change your approach to creating the work, or did it have an impact? Did it feel different to you?
I mean, of course, of course it's different. Not as, and not necessarily in a bad way. It is weird not to do table work in person, just because that is such a, I mean, it is discussion based, so it's not really like there's really anything we really urgently need to like be in person for, but there is just that first week is so important in terms of figuring out your relationships, not just, as characters, but also as actors, working with other actors, working with the director. That first week like kind of sets up the rest of the process. Which I think is why it was great that it was such a small production, because I don't know if it would have felt as connected and intimate as it did if I was looking at 10 faces on Zoom as opposed to just 2, really, plus the SMs. So that those kind of like balanced out really well. That first week was a lot more, I guess, cognitive than anything else, like more thinking it through than doing it physically, which was a little bit new for me, but I am a kind of very much in my head kind of person, so it also aligned well with my personal approach to figuring out this world and these people. But yeah, once we got into the in-person stuff, the only thing that was weird was remembering to put on your masks when you're supposed to, because Cole and I take off our masks a lot, and sometimes like Melissa will want to come down and do stuff in person with us, like any director does, and then there's like that mad dash for putting a mask on when everyone forgets, and like, oh no, and we have to put stuff on. Other than that, it felt like really normal. Like we were on set, we were with people, we were acting, Cole was there, it was,
Right.
that was pretty.
And in the last couple of days, you had 4 cameras 6 feet from you.
Yeah.
And I will, without giving it away, I'm so anxious for our audience to see the last couple minutes of the play, which I know you guys spent a lot of time on, and is a little different twist to how our audiences might have experienced the play had they been in the theater itself. So I'll leave that open for folks to explore. You mentioned, Phoebe, this was a 2-actor play. This is just the 2 of you. You are the entire cast, 90 minutes on stage without interruption. That requires some stamina and some very nimble brains that can retain 90 minutes of through line, which you both do phenomenally well. And how does an actor do you? And I know that I think there are three distinct scenes in the play.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, those are very brief pauses, barely long
Yeah.
enough for you guys to get a drink of water when you run off stage. But as actors in your craft, how do you sustain? How do you build a relationship between the two of you? Because the play causes you to go from complete strangers to close, intimate friends in 90 minutes. How do you work on that? And what muscles do you need to sustain a two-hander for 90 minutes? And Phoebe, I'll start with you.
In terms of the stamina, I think one, or at least for me, warm up is so important. That completely sets the state of mind I'm in and the state of body I'm in, that I need to be in for the next 2 hours. So that is something that, like, once you start running something, you set the warm up, and then every time you run it, you do the same work before, and that kind of, I think, a mixture of muscle memory and just pure like habit kind of sets that going. So as long as I do the same warm up every time, I have the same energy going in every time. That, and also there's a very high energy opening to the show. The first like 2 minutes are like very loud and intense. And I think we both realized this at some point as we were running, that those couple minutes are like crucial to how the rest of the play goes. There have been runs where we were like not as high energy in the beginning, and then the whole entire thing just sags. And all the times where we've been like in it from the get-go, like we're going, that takes us through the entire play. And then in terms of becoming, going from strangers to really like best friends from the beginning to the end, I think, at least for me, the most important aspect of that, or of creating that, was being in the moment every single time, and not thinking about what happens next or what just happened, is to really live the play in real time, is to actually get to know this person and actually form this really intense bond as it happens. I don't think there's any other way I could have done that.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cole?
Man, I think she really hit everything. Warm up is so important. Like whatever you need to do to kind of get the right frame of mind. And I think going into every day being like kind to yourself, understanding that it is a process, and there will be mistakes, but there will be moments that are born out of the mistakes, and that's the great thing about art. And I'll also say, like, I think a big reason we were able to kind of do the work that we did, is because there was this feeling of, all right, let's jump, let's do it. I felt like she had my back, and I felt like I could really trust her with everything. I think that she did such a great job of giving so much. My job was really just to hold it for a second and to give it back. And I think that it made the process a lot of fun. I really love work that is so challenging, because you find out so much about yourself and about the world and just what it means to work with other people. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that we got to do that.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like acting is really just learning more about yourself, the person. Maybe it's a little self-centered way to look at it, but sometimes that's what it feels like.
Cole, you mentioned a key there, the idea of trust. because, you know, your characters at different points in the play are both caused to be very vulnerable. And that idea of trust as actors, trust as the characters, you know, that I felt like in watching it, I felt that there was a trust there that allowed you both to take risks with your characters. And at least that's what I was seeing. It may not be
Yeah.
true at all, but I could see that felt that way to me as an audience member.
No, I'm so glad it was Cole. I'm so thankful it was Cole. It was very easy to work with him.
I'm say the same about Phoebe. It was
Good. And likewise, all of us at stage are very glad it was the two of you. Here's the exit question. So having now you've had what, 2 or 3 days since you closed the production from a performance point of view. What do you hope actors take away? Well, actors. I mean, what do you hope audience takes away from this play, from the inside, your insider view? What do you hope folks take away when they watch I and You? Either one of you you can jump in.
I think I'll go outside inside. From an outside thing, I'm just so happy that, like you kind of touched on, theater is so much more accessible when it is in this format. And I know that there's so many folks who would love to see shows, but you know, for their own personal reasons, aren't able to do so. And so it's really great that people now have the opportunity to do that, which I think is the most important thing, is to just let people see the art that they want to see when they want to see it, give them that opportunity. And then I think in the show, I really hope that people walk away with the notion that, you know, it is okay to not be okay. And, you know, it does take a lot of courage to kind of say that to someone and hope that they will hold that and listen or be there or just whatever is best for that person in the moment. I really hope that this play inspires anyone that's having those thoughts, that wants to have those conversations with their loved ones or someone, that it'll spark that conversation.
Phoebe, how about you?
I also have like 2 answers, both for like the production itself and also for the play. First of all, totally agree with Cole on the accessibility thing. I think we both feel very strongly about that. And I think just this really unique way we're doing theater now, not just in this production, but theaters everywhere, and writers, actors, directors everywhere are finding these wacky, like new, totally unheard of ways to do theater. And they're doing it well, just like you guys did with this production. And so I hope people watching it start feeling like there is so many ways to do theater. There's so many ways to experience it. It does not have to be in person in front of a proscenium stage with like your grandma and 2 aunts who just have like got white wine from the bar and the theater bar downstairs. You know, like there's not just that was really specific. There's not one way to do theater. Theater can be anything. In terms of the play, the story, for me, my most important takeaway I got from it was that 1, there is always something to fight for, and 2, there are always people who will fight it with you. There's so much in this play about human connection, not just in the poem Song of Myself, which is largely about human connection, both to the earth, to other humans, to the cosmos, to yourself. And then when you add that with Caroline and Anthony's specific situations and how much it feels like the world is like in nature and their bodies are like just putting them down, there will always be a reason to get back up. And there will always be an Anthony or a Caroline to do it with you.
That's very insightful and spot on. And you mentioned the poem, and I didn't even bring up the fact that I suspect this play will send more than a few members of our audience back to their collection of Walt Whitman.
I
Uh,
hope so.
Yes, I hope so. Oh my God.
Yeah.
because I love the way the playwright weaves this 100-plus-year-old poem into an incredibly relevant and contemporary setting.
Yeah.
And
It's so real.
it's I gotta say, for me, it's been a pretty long while since I picked up any Walt Whitman to just kind of peruse. But both of your characters give us a lot of reasons to find the relevance in Walt Whitman. I gotta say,
Yeah, they're like the smartest 17-year-olds ever. Like, I don't know if I would have gotten half
So
of that. at
cultured.
17.
yeah, I gotta say that those two characters had a lot more insight into Walt Whitman than I did or do have.
Yeah.
That's
And probably ever will.
Yeah.
yeah, that's just one of the beautiful parts of this play, is that it exists on a personal level, on a poetic level, on a metaphysical level, and you both do a fantastic job bringing these characters to life. And Phoebe and Cole, I want to thank you for joining us for Prologue today and for sharing your insight into the creation of these characters. It means a lot to us. Congratulations on fantastic work. And we hope you're back to see us at Syracuse Stage again very soon. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
Yeah,
having us. Can't wait to see it for the first time.